For the past 3 years, I've been using the Critical Cycles 2-bike hitch rack that I got off of Amazon. I've pretty much just left it on my car through rain, through snow, and as you can see, it started to get rusty. And while it still works perfectly fine, I've lost 2 of the wheel trays that slid off the end. So it's time to get a new rack. I didn't want to break the bank, even though I wanted a rack that would, grab onto the wheels and not scratch the frame like this one has done. I decided to go with the Swagman XTC2 or XCT2 right here. You see it on the screen. But this is the rack I ended up going with. The rack itself ran for about $200, but I ended up spending a bunch of Amazon rewards points, so I got it for around $100. But when you look at the other bike racks on Amazon that are, around $100, you typically hang the bike on, and they're not the most secure. So you might as well spend the extra $100 and get a bike rack where you can put the wheels and trays and clamp down on it and not have to worry about it going anywhere. You can fit about 2.6-inch tires, which is what I have on my mountain bike, but you can't fit any more. You can't fit a plus size or a whatever it's called, the bikes with the fat tire. Yeah, fat tire bike, that thing. But you can also fit road bikes, BMX bikes, and almost anything where the wheels will fit in the tray. My first complaint about this rack is that when I unboxed it, there was a piece in the tube thing that sticks into the rack that was pushed too far in, but it's where the holes, the screws fit into the holes, and I had to figure out a way to get it out. So the solution ended up being pulling out the screw holes on the other end of the rack that attached to the hitch, and then shoving something through and pushing it out so that I could get the screws in. But besides that, installation was just as smooth as my old rack. Once we spent a half hour getting that mess figured out, we just put the rack in the car and then started to attach all the wheel trays and the clamps for the bikes. As I mentioned before, I lost 2 wheel trays while driving, and so one of the coolest things about this rack is that it has screws at the end to keep the wheel trays from sliding off when you don't have bikes on and you're taking sharp turns. So that's a huge plus for this rack. I've already taken this rack on the highway on probably about 8 hours of driving, and I've also carried my friend's bike on it, and we've had 0 problems. It's worked completely fine. So if you're looking for a budget bike rack, I highly recommend the Swagman. You're not going to find a much better rack for around $200.